is that China and Pakistan are all-weather ironclad allies. No one should second-guess this alliance between China and Pakistan. China will always come to Pakistan's help and assistance whenever Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity will be threatened by any country. Don't ever underestimate China's commitment to Pakistan to defend Pakistan's legitimate interest of its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
India and Pakistan, two nuclear-armed neighbors locked in one of the world's most dangerous rivalries. Tensions flare, accusations fly, and millions of lives hang in the balance. But what happens when another global superpower steps into the ring? Enter China, a staunch ally of Pakistan and a rising geopolitical heavyweight. In this explosive interview between Victor Gao, a prominent Chinese diplomat, and an Indian interviewer, we see sparks fly over the sovereignty, terrorism, and alliances.
How can the Chinese foreign minister continue to call Pakistan an ironclad brother and an all-weather strategic partner, and also use the same language which the Pakistani side is using, calling for an impartial probe, when in the past, impartial probes have really not got anywhere for India in terms of, calling out these terror groups and getting the Pakistani state to act against these terror groups?
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, the deterioration of the situation between India and Pakistan as we speak is a reason for great concern. These are two big countries, both armed with nuclear weapons, and over the decades they have fought many times. So this is the right time to call on both India and Pakistan to exercise the maximum restraint and seek a peaceful solution, because otherwise the consequence will be too much for either India or Pakistan to bear. Now, secondly, when you talk about terrorist attacks, you may know inside Pakistan there have been terrorist attacks against the Chinese nationals. And we actually lost quite a few Chinese nationals inside Pakistan. But we always called for a thorough investigation into what exactly is happening behind the scene, who was pulling the trigger, who was committing all these atrocities. And I think China is using the same philosophy to apply to this particular round of attack, because the attack may be initiated by anyone rather than by the government of Pakistan.
When pressed about attacks on Chinese nationals in Pakistan, Gao avoids jumping to conclusions. Instead, he calls for thorough investigations before pointing fingers. Rushing to blame Pakistan without evidence risks inflaming tensions further. Plus, let's face it, terrorist groups often operate independently of governments. By advocating for impartiality, Gao positions himself as a voice of reason in a highly emotional debate.
This is time for both India and Pakistan and all the other stakeholders to work very closely to get to the bottom of the situation, rather than allowing this attack to be the
Professor
trigger
Gao,
of
last
escalation.
year when there were the Chinese CPEC projects that were attacked in Balochistan, and I saw the Foreign Ministry's statement, it did not mince any words. It certainly did not call Pakistan an ironclad brother in the aftermath of the attacks that killed Chinese nationals in Balochistan.
The point is very simple. We need to call for impartial and complete and thorough investigation into the background of this attack before any country should seize this opportunity to use this attack as the trigger for escalation of tensions or even conflict between India and Pakistan. Now, the third point I want to add, please, with your permission, is that China and Pakistan are all-weather ironclad allies. No one should second-guess this alliance between China and Pakistan. China will always come to Pakistan's help and assistance whenever Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity will be threatened by any country. So this is a very serious matter. You're talking about a war between Pakistan and India on the one hand, and then you are talking about the ironclad alliance between China and Pakistan, and China's full commitment to defend Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
I'm glad, Professor Gao.
Gao doubles down on China's unwavering support for Pakistan, calling their bond an ironclad brotherhood. While critics accuse China of enabling Pakistan, Gao frames this alliance as a principled stand for sovereignty. He argues that no country should interfere with another's territorial integrity. Sure, it sounds idealistic, but consider this. If someone threatened your borders, wouldn't you expect your allies to step up? For China, supporting Pakistan isn't just sentimental, it's strategic. Gao doesn't shy away from criticizing Western narratives that paint Pakistan as the sole culprit in regional terrorism. He reminds us that India faces its own challenges with militancy and separatism, issues that complicate the black and white portrayal of good versus evil. His message: let's stop oversimplifying complex problems and focus on addressing root causes instead.
How you've been upfront here on our show, Professor Chalani. At least you can't fault him for hiding the Chinese game. He's upfront and he's saying that it'll come to Pakistan's defense, which is its ironclad brother. I was going through the amount of weapons that the Chinese have supplied to Pakistan. It's full of 2 pages full, from JF-17 fighter jets to Yuan-class submarines to the P-10 and P-15 missiles. I mean, 60% of Pakistan Army's weaponry today comes from China. And Professor Gao, I have issues with what you said, but I certainly will not fault you for being forthright. So, India should claw back on this whole road to normalization. I mean, we have just announced that we're resuming the Mansarovar Yatra. We've just announced that we're resuming direct flights between Delhi and Beijing. India should claw back. I mean, today, Professor Gao, there are credible media reports, there is satellite imagery to show that Chinese logistical movements, including fuel and engineering supplies, near Pakistan's northern regions. Can you categorically confirm or deny to our viewers who are watching here in India that if a situation were to escalate between India and Pakistan, that China will not come to Pakistan's aid, providing it military and logistical supplies?
Thank you very much. Allow me to make several very brief points. First of all, I have great respect for India as a country and as a nation. On the other hand, allow me to emphasize the size of the Chinese economy today is about 5 times as big as India's economy. This is the reality. But the point is, if India wants to shut itself out of China, it's in the detriment of the Indian people. So don't talk to me about closing China away from India, because you will do that with great harm to the fundamental interest of the Indian people. That's number one. Number two is, don't ever underestimate China's commitment to Pakistan to defend Pakistan's legitimate interest of its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Finally, Gao drops a reality check. China's economy is roughly 5 times larger than India's. Cutting ties with Beijing would hurt India far more than China. While some may call this arrogant, it's undeniably pragmatic. Economics shape foreign policy, and isolating China would leave India at a disadvantage globally. Gao's message is clear: play the long game, even if it means cooperating with rivals. So there you have it. His arguments highlight critical issues like restraint, sovereignty, and economic interdependence that deserve our attention. Whether you side with India, Pakistan, or China, one thing's certain: solving this decades-old conflict requires dialogue, patience, and a willingness to listen, even to perspectives we don't initially agree with. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this and drop your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, bye.